Welcome to Echoes of the Ancients. In this video, it's the first installment of a series dedicated to the 1877 Nez Perce War. They traveled nearly 1,200 miles to try to get away from the U.S. Army and seek a peaceful sanctuary. During that time, they had 750 men, women, and children with them. It's a miraculous story, and I'm happy to tell it to you. First, let's take a look at the Nez Perce. Located on the border of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, they were a nomadic tribe with several bands, moving throughout the region based on gathering food and changing seasons. Here's a story pulled from one of the diaries from the Lewis and Clark expedition that helps illustrate the character of the Nez Perce. By the time the expedition reached the Pacific Ocean, word had spread throughout the various tribes that these guys had some cool stuff, like metal knives. So during their return trip, Indians would flock to them and try and secure some of these things. It became very annoying, and they had to be on guard at all times. When they departed a Nez Perce camp, they had forgotten a few items. The Nez Perce rode out after them to return these items. Now that was a breath of fresh air. If you've ever been to this region, it's hard not to feel sadness for the loss of this way of life. Check out where Chief Joseph set up camp during the summer. It's not hard to romanticize a simpler existence, unchanged for thousands of years, surrounded by stunning scenery. Not to say the Nez Perce were without conflict. Like all tribes, the threat of hostilities from other tribes was always present. One day, the granddaddy of all tribes, Europeans, came along and forever changed the West. The problem with living a nomadic lifestyle is that you can't keep watch over your land at all times. So when European settlers arrived and saw an area abandoned, they settled in. This scenario repeated itself throughout the region, causing tension. Eventually, the government deemed it necessary to relocate all the bands to a central reservation. This didn't go over well, but it was accepted grudgingly. The event that caused the war to erupt happened from Chief Whitebird's band on the Salmon River. These Indians staged a Tel-Lik-Lin, a ceremonial circle that commemorated past battles. In the middle of the ceremony, someone taunted a young warrior named Shore Crossing why he hadn't avenged his father's murder at the hands of settler Larry Ott 2 years earlier. That night, an embarrassed Shore Crossing and 2 others went on a killing spree along the Salmon River. When they returned and told the rest of the tribe what had happened, it was obvious there was no turning back. That night, 17 more warriors joined the killing spree. All hope for a truce was lost, and the Indians settled into Whitebird Canyon, striking a defensive posture, awaiting the inevitable arrival of the U.S. Army. The Battle of Whitebird Canyon was about to commence. When the Army entered the canyon, they had been traveling for 36 hours and were exhausted. When the 2 opposing groups made eye contact with each other, the Army's bugler began to signal an attack. At that point, an Indian shot and killed the bugler mid-signal. Furthermore, the backup bugler had lost his bugle. At that point, 3 mounted warriors boldly charged up the hill towards the Army. Complete chaos ensued. The panicked Army fled back up the canyon in total disarray. The Indians followed and killed as many as they could. The Army lost 34 killed and 4 wounded. The Indians had only 3 wounded. 10 days later, an eyewitness surveyed the battle site. He said the dead soldiers barely resembled humans. Arms and cheeks gone, bellies swollen, blackened faces, mutilations, heads gone. It was the most sickening sight I ever saw. Well, that concludes part 1 of the Nez Perce War. Part 2 is going to have a shoot up north and east to the Battle of the Clearwater, where an embarrassed General Howard needed some redemption after Whitebird. Next time on Echoes of the Ancients.